special interests that you're concerned about?
Sure, I think you can see them out there all the time. Number one, there's the UFT. You want to go after somebody there, that's as good an example as anything. All they want to do is roll it back. There's the political power of people who just want to pander when they come out and they find something wrong with everything. There are the newspapers that can never find anything good enough. They're in favor of change, but they've never yet in their whole publishing history seen a change that was good enough. And while they're doing all that, it may be cute, and maybe they think that it sells newspapers, but generation after generation of our children have been leaving the system without the skills they need. And history shows getting them back into the system is almost impossible. We'll only have very limited successes if they've been out of the system for a few years. We've got to do something and do something now, and we're going in the right direction. Graduation rates are up, the gap between ethnicities and how they test is diminishing, the test scores are getting better, crime is going down, we're building more schools. We attracted 70,000 applicants for 5,000 vacancies among teachers last year. If you go back and take a look 5 years ago, we couldn't fill the school system and we couldn't get enough certified teachers. Today the law says we can only have certified teachers, and we are getting them through Teach America or just teachers from around this country who want to come and be part of something great. We really are doing it, and that's the most amazing thing, that we're even having this discussion. That there are people who, for their own selfish reasons, aren't willing to keep moving forward. I can't tell you that every single thing we do is always the right thing. You will never, if you try new things, always be right. If you wait to find out whether it's right, number one, you'll never get there, and number two, in the meantime, think of all of those kids falling out of the system. But the numbers are clear of what's happening in this city. The school system really is better serving our children than ever before. Do we have more to do? Yes. I will never finish it in my term, you won't in yours or anybody else's. There will always be more to do. But was anybody seriously, can you look parents in the eye and say you want to go back to where we were 5 years ago? I don't think so. Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Mayor, more than once today, Mr. Mayor, more than once today you cast
more than one, I couldn't answer.
More than once today, you cast your critics as being small in number, and clearly this is a pretty big show of force here in response to that. If it's so small, why not ignore it? Why go?
Because we're not supposed to ignore anybody. I'm here to represent everybody, and it would be better if everybody understood. It would be better if people that object would at least stand up and say why. And you always do have the problem of a very small group of people who are single issue focused, having a disproportionate percentage of power. That's exactly the NRA. Not very many people in this country want to put guns in the hands of criminals, and yet Congress is afraid to stand up against putting guns in the hands of criminals because of a small single issue group. That's what we've got to make sure it doesn't happen here. Sir.
Turning around David's question, the fact that you're amassing over 100 supporters, does that indicate that you're concerned about losing out to the UFT and Apollo?
No, I'm concerned that we don't continue to advance and to try new things and to make sure that parents understand the options they have, that the high school students will understand they're responsible for their own lives down the road, that we'll pull all this together. We have to go and fight a lousy school system, better than any other big city, but compared to what it could be, I don't think you can use a word other than, it isn't lousy in the context of just being bad, it's that it isn't all that it could be. And it's going in the right direction, and we can all do it if we work together. Maybe lousy is an inappropriate word, but it's how can you look children in the eye and say, we could do more to help you, and we didn't have the courage to do it. Yes, sir.
You mentioned numbers. There's a discrepancy between how the City Department of Education calculates graduation rates and how the state does. Has there been any resolution?
Yeah, there's only one real difference. The state uses including special ed kids. The city does not. But the relative change of both is virtually identical. So if the improvement isn't 50 to 59 or whatever the number is, if it's 40 to 49, it's still the same percentage increase. And we'll put out the numbers both ways. You can define, we are using the same standards that have been used for a few decades so that you can get a real comparison of what happened before. If we were to change standards to make them more rational, and you can argue that special ed kids should be in there, although some special ed kids unfortunately have so many problems that we can help them, but they probably will not ever have the opportunity to graduate. But that doesn't mean we should walk away from, we're not trying to walk away from, quite the contrary, we're trying to include them. But if we change the standards, then you'd say, oh, you're fooling around with the numbers. So we're trying not to do that, and we'll put out the numbers in both directions, both ways. But the change is exactly percentage-wise the same. We are improving. And I find fascinating some of the people who use the old numbers are criticizing us for using the old numbers. When they were in charge, they were complaining about, they were using them, and today they're not acceptable. So.
Are you trying to send out the message today that you're either with us or against us and that none of the criticism?
No. You're either with the children or you're against the children. With us doesn't matter. It's the children. That's the message today. Yes, sir.
In a position with some state lawmakers calling for a halt to the school reorganization, is today's event in response to perhaps some resistance in Albany? To what's
No, well, there'll always be Albany. It's democracy. There'll always be some people